Welcome to The Bold New Normal, the podcast where bold ideas meet transformative action. I'm your host, Lucy Quist, and I'm here to challenge mindsets, ignite conversations, and inspire you to create the future you deserve. A future where equity, opportunity, and prosperity are not just dreams but realities. So let's dive in and build the bold new normal together. So in 2008, I joined the telecommunications industry on the African continent, working for an amazing telecom company. And once I got there, I had to define for myself what was my career goal and ambition. I'm the sort of person who always likes to have a vision of where I'm trying to get to, not just all of my life, but maybe in the next 5 years, where do I want to be in the next 10 years? I've been very intentional about, and I recognize that in deciding what you want to do in 5 years, creating a vision, it's great to be ambitious. But when I was in that position in 2008, I had to figure out what I wanted to do. The first thing I did was actually seek out information. I really wanted to understand where I could go and what kind of path could get me there. And it led me to do a bit of a gap analysis between the job I had, which was strategy and business development, and what it took to be a CEO. But I had to really seek out that information. I would go to, as part of understanding the industry as well, I would go to, not number ones, I always used to go to the second, number two in the department, not the head of department, because I feel that the heads are always like too busy, too strategic, not in the detail enough. Number two, they're running the place. They will tell you exactly who does what, where, how, what didn't go well and everything. So that's what I did. I spent my time actually with the number twos of various departments. And it was interesting because people tend to think that if you're in a senior position, why are you talking to someone who is not your peer? It's like admitting that you don't know. But number one thing you have to do to make progress in your life is to seek out information and knowledge. Is to seek out an understanding of your own gap analysis between where you're trying to get to and where you are today. And once I had that understanding, I had to ask. So I remember my boss at the time was the CEO of the whole continent, and he was doing my end of year review, and he asked me, what my goals were. Where do you want to be in 5 years? I'm thinking to myself, oh no, he didn't. He asked the wrong question. I'm ready for this one. And so I immediately took the opportunity to do my ask. And I said, I want to be you in 5 years. Well, I want your job in 5 years. And I know not everyone has that kind of rapport with their boss, but I try to establish good rapport with my bosses. And they know that he knew that me saying that wasn't to say that I was trying to usurp him. It was me asking for, how do I get there? From your perspective, you're there, I'm not. How do I get there? And so he took it quite well. And what he subsequently did, which I didn't know in the moment, he took my ask and he took it away. But what he subsequently did is set about giving me work opportunities that allowed me to not just learn, but demonstrate capability. And I remember one particular opportunity he gave me, to many people felt like a demotion, because my strategy job was Africa-wide. I was in charge of strategy across the continent for this, strategy and business development across the African continent. And suddenly I was given an in-country, half of country sales and distribution and general management jobs. So you're not even in charge of the whole country, you're in charge of part of the country. And I remember a colleague coming to sit next to me, and she said to me, Lucy, I know you're really ambitious. And this person meant well. This partner, she's coming from a good place. And she said to me, Lucy, you're so ambitious and everything, and I admire that, but I just wouldn't take this demotion. But wait, like you have a great job. Why would you take this job? And but I knew from talking to my boss, I had asked for how to get to CEO, that if I didn't get the opportunity to demonstrate that I could generate revenue, that I could sell product, that I could bring money, you're never going to be the CEO. You can strategize all you want. You can develop business all you want. At the end of the day, organizations, especially corporate organizations, run on being able to return value. And part of the starting point of returning value is actually generating that revenue. So I got sent off on this role that was challenging, a story I can tell in full detail another time. But that was the response to my ask. I'd sought the information, I had gone ahead and done the asking. And so thereafter, it just became about knocking and knocking and knocking. And, because I'd asked and I'd had this positive response, even though it had led down to a road of many challenging work opportunities, I was knocking. Every time there was a discussion about where I was going with my career, it was a knock. It was a knock. It was a knock on the door of, I want to be CEO. I want to be CEO. It's not, and I say it repetitively here, and it may sound as though I was just going around annoying people. That's not my point. I wasn't annoying people, but when it came out relevantly in the conversation, I had now acquired enough confidence because I've done seeking and asking to knock and say, when is the door going to be open for me? When is the door going to be open for me? The first time I got the opportunity to be a CEO, interestingly, I turned it down because I didn't think it was the right time. I spent a lot of time praying and reflecting on the kind of organization it was, reflecting on the type of my family situation, my children. And so I didn't think it was, and I prayed a lot about it. It wasn't the right opportunity for me. And so I turned it down. And so I subsequently went to another organization where as they were recruiting me, there was the same knock conversation. And the hook, this gentleman who recruited me, he must have read between the lines, because he said, if you join this organization, I'll make you a CEO. I thought, that's interesting. So when we get into the mode of knocking, I believe that our behavior, our demeanor, the kind of profile and the stories we tell point towards where we're trying to get to when we're at the point of knocking. And so I joined this organization, and true to his word, he gave me every opportunity that there was to prepare me for being a CEO. And that included being on the right mentoring programs, getting the right mentor. The mentor I ended up getting was amazing, but he was a CEO as well, but totally amazing a mentor as well. But it ended up being these series of opportunities that kept coming my way because I was in that mode of trying to get there. And I always tell people this story that at the start of asking, I said I wanted it in 5 years. The first opportunity came about 3.5 years in. I didn't take it. And the opportunity that did come that was right happened 6 years later, right? But because I had been knocking and knocking, by the time the opportunity actually came, it almost felt left field. It almost felt as though it was totally unexpected, even though I was prepared. And the reason why it ended up feeling left field and totally unexpected is that it was with a completely different company, not the original boss who had said, I will give you the opportunities, not with the boss who says, if you join this organization, you become a CEO, who both helped me on this journey. It was a completely different organization. And what struck me when they interviewed me was that they had done all their homework on me. So it wasn't an interview that would say, tell us about a time that you did in the typical interview, walk us through your CV. No, they came with scenarios and stories of my career that they had investigated and found out already. And they would ask questions like, so we heard at some point you had this issue with your boss and you had this long discussion. Tell us what was going through your mind. Tell us how it ended. How did you manage the situation? And I'm sitting there thinking, how did they know all of this? But remember, once you're on that journey, then your behaviors and your experiences are aligning to what you're knocking for. So I will always encourage people to seek, ask, and knock. And of course, knocking ended up with me becoming the CEO of a telecom company. But it was a whole journey. Some of it that may have felt awkward. It feels awkward to seek out new information, especially with people who you think you may be more senior than, but they know things you don't know. It feels awkward to ask your bosses for things, especially if it's something really big and ambitious. And it takes a lot of tenacity to keep knocking, even on those days when I felt like, I should have just taken that other opportunity. I wouldn't be in this situation right now. But you keep going and you keep knocking. And it all comes together. Always have something that you're working on from a seek, ask, and knock point of view. 100%. If you remember nothing else, just remember to seek, ask, and knock out of this episode and go out there and use those skills to take action. Everything I said today was about me actively doing something about where I was trying to get to. And if you continue to actively do that, you will create your prosperity. Thank you for tuning in to The Bold New Normal. I hope this episode has inspired you to think boldly and take action towards creating the future you envision. If you found value in today's conversation, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with someone who needs a dose of boldness today. Until next time, take action to create your bold new normal.